In certain towns across rural Mexico, there are families who wake before dawn, not to pray, but to perform rituals they believe keep their communities safe from forces the rest of us have forgotten. These are not legends, they happen every night. A documentary investigation into real protective rituals still practiced in rural Mexico. Good evening. Welcome to The Hidden Archive, a documentary channel dedicated to preserving and investigating the real folklore, cultural mysteries, and living traditions of Mexico and beyond. I'm Fernanda, and tonight I'll be guiding you through stories that many prefer to keep quiet. What you're about to hear comes from years of recorded testimonies, ethnographic research, and conversations with people who still live these practices. This is not entertainment. This is documentation. Across Mexico, far from the cities and the noise of modernity, there are towns where certain families carry responsibilities that outsiders rarely see. These are not folklore performances for tourists. They are private, deliberate acts, rituals passed down through generations, performed in silence, and considered essential for the survival of the community. In many of these places, people will tell you the same thing. If we stop, something will come back. But what are they protecting their towns from? And why, in the 21st century, do they continue? Tonight, we document 5 key aspects of these hidden practices, not to sensationalize them, but to understand why they endure. In several regions of Oaxaca, Guerrero, and Veracruz, you'll find wooden crosses placed at the cardinal points surrounding a town. These are not merely religious symbols, they are barriers. According to local belief, these crosses must be fed, adorned with specific offerings at specific times, flowers on certain saints' days, candles that must never go out during Holy Week. In some towns, families take turns maintaining them, ensuring they're never neglected. The logic is simple but absolute. The crosses hold back lo malo, the bad things. What are these bad things? The answers vary. Some say aires, malevolent winds that carry sickness. Others speak of animas en pena, trapped souls that wander and cause harm. A few mention older names, pre-Hispanic entities that were never fully Christianized, only contained. In a town near Huautla de Jimenez, I was told by a woman in her 70s that her family has maintained the Eastern Cross for over a century. She said, and I quote from my notes, "My grandmother told me that one year, in the 1940s, they forgot to replace the flowers during Dia de Muertos. 3 children died of fever that month. Since then, we never forget." Whether or not one believes in the connection, the ritual continues, because for them, the risk of stopping is too great. Beyond the crosses, there are ceremonies that most outsiders never witness. These happen at night, away from the main plaza, often in caves, springs, or at the base of old trees considered sacred. In regions with strong indigenous roots, Chiapas, the Huasteca, parts of Michoacán, these rituals blend Catholic and pre-Hispanic elements in ways the church does not officially recognize, but the people do not see them as contradictory. They see them as necessary. Offerings are made, not metaphorical ones, real sacrifices. In some communities, a rooster is sacrificed at the beginning of the agricultural season, not for food, but as an offering to the earth. Its blood is poured into furrows. Feathers are buried at the 4 corners of the field. The family eats nothing from that animal. It belongs to the land. In other places, offerings are left at cenotes or river mouths, bread shaped like human figures, bottles of aguardiente, coins from specific years. These are not random. Every item has meaning, dictated by oral tradition and dreams. Yes, dreams. In several towns, the elderly say that the ancestors communicate through dreams, instructing families on what to offer and when. If someone ignores a dream, they risk offending forces they cannot see. A man I spoke with in a village near Songolica described a ceremony performed every year on the night of St. John the Baptist, June 23rd. Families gather at a spring outside town. They bring offerings of honey, flowers, and small mirrors. The mirrors, he said, are to show the water its own face, so it remembers it is sacred and continues to flow. At midnight, the eldest woman present, always a woman, speaks to the water. She asks for protection, for rain, for the health of the children. Then they leave the offerings and return home in silence. No one speaks until sunrise. He told me, if we spoke, the water would take our voices. I asked what that meant. He said he didn't know, but his grandmother had lost her voice for 3 months after speaking on the walk back, decades ago. Since then, no one speaks. These rituals are not democratic. You cannot volunteer. In many towns, the responsibility belongs to specific families, those who inherited the role from their ancestors, sometimes stretching back centuries. These families are known by various names depending on the region: curanderos, guardianes, principales. In some places, they're simply called los que saben, those who know. They do not advertise what they do. There are no signs, no public acknowledgments, but everyone in town knows who they are. And when something goes wrong, a drought, an outbreak of illness, a series of accidents, people come to them. In a town in the Sierra Norte de Puebla, I learned of a family whose role is to close the town every night. What does that mean? According to a school teacher I spoke with, someone who grew up there but now lives in the city, this family performs a short ritual at sunset. They walk the perimeter of the town, marking invisible boundaries with prayers and gestures only they know. The belief is that this prevents espantos, frightening spirits, from entering while people sleep. She said her own grandmother was part of this family. When her grandmother became too ill to walk the perimeter, her aunt took over. There was no ceremony, no official passing of the torch. It simply happened because it had to. When I asked if she believed it worked, the teacher paused for a long time. Then she said, "I don't live there anymore, but my mother still does. And she says the one year my grandmother couldn't do it, the year before my aunt took over, people had terrible nightmares. Every night, the whole town. Then my aunt started doing it and the nightmares stopped." Could it be coincidence, mass psychology? Absolutely. But try telling that to someone whose child woke up screaming every night for 6 months. The question outsiders always ask is, why don't they just stop? If it's just tradition, if there's no proof it works, why continue? The answer is always the same: fear. Not fear of judgment, not fear of breaking with tradition, fear of what they believe will happen if they stop. In a village in the mountains of Guerrero, I was told a story that is still spoken about in hushed tones. In the 1970s, a young man returned from the city. He'd studied in Guadalajara, become educated, modern. He thought the old rituals were superstition. He openly criticized them. He convinced several younger families to stop participating. For 2 years, fewer and fewer people performed the rituals. The elders warned them. They were ignored. Then, in the summer of 1978, something happened. Over the course of 3 months, 7 people in that town died, not from one cause: a car accident, a fall, a sudden illness, a drowning, a snake bite, a fever. One was the young man himself. People began to say the town had been abierto, left open. The protections had failed. The rituals resumed. They have not stopped since. Now, from a rational perspective, 7 deaths in a small town over 3 months is not statistically unusual. People die, accidents happen. But in a community where everyone knows everyone, where collective memory is strong, these events became proof. And that proof is more powerful than any statistics. This is the reality of these practices. They're sustained not by blind faith, but by lived experience. Experiences interpreted through the lens of belief, yes, but no less real to those who endured them. In many of these towns, people will tell you, "I don't know if it's true, but I'm not going to be the one to find out." And so the rituals continue, quietly, nightly, without fanfare, because the alternative, the possibility that stopping might invite something back, is a risk no one is willing to take. Over the past several years, I've collected dozens of accounts from people who live in these communities. I don't reveal their names or exact locations, that's the agreement. But their words matter because they represent a worldview that exists parallel to the one most of us know. Here is what they've told me. A woman in Veracruz, age 68. "My mother taught me to leave water and salt at the threshold every night. She said it keeps the house clean, not clean like sweeping, clean from things that walk at night. I still do it. My daughter does it now too. She lives in Xalapa, in an apartment. She still does it." A man in Michoacan, age 74. "The danza we do on the Day of the Dead is not for the tourists, it's for the dead. If we don't dance, they don't rest. I've danced it for 50 years. My son will dance it when I can't. It's not optional." A woman in Oaxaca, age 36. "People in the city think we're backwards. They laugh at us, but they don't live here. They don't know what it's like when the mountain is angry, when the wind changes and everyone gets sick. We do what we do because it works, not because a book says so, because we've seen it." A man in Chiapas, age 82. "When I was a boy, my grandfather took me to the cave. He showed me how to ask permission before entering, how to leave tobacco, how to speak to the old ones. He said, they were here before the church, they will be here after. Respect them. I teach my grandson the same." These are not people living in ignorance. Many have traveled, many have education, but they maintain these practices because for them, the evidence is clear. The rituals work. And whether or not we, as outsiders, believe in their efficacy, the belief itself has power. It structures their lives. It gives meaning to their relationship with the land, with the past, with the unseen world. That is not something to dismiss. That is something to document. To understand why these practices persist, we must look at history. Mexico is a country built on layers. The Spanish conquest did not erase indigenous belief systems. It buried them or fused them with Catholicism in ways that created something entirely new. This process is called syncretism. In many rural areas, Catholicism was adopted, but the old gods never left. They were renamed, they became saints, they were given new faces, but the rituals, the offerings, the relationship to the land, those remained. Over centuries, this blending became so complete that many people today cannot separate where Catholicism ends and indigenous belief begins. To them, it is all one system, all sacred, all necessary. Anthropologists have studied these communities extensively. Researchers like Alfredo Lopez Austin, Johanna Broda, and others have documented how pre-Hispanic rituals endure, disguised within Catholic festivals. But there's another reason these practices persist: isolation. Many of these towns are remote. Government services are limited. Medical care is scarce. The church's presence is often minimal, one priest serving a dozen villages, visiting only occasionally. In the absence of institutions, people rely on what their ancestors taught them. And when those teachings seem to work, when the rain comes after the ceremony, when the sickness stops after the offering, the belief is reinforced. There is also the element of collective belief. In tight-knit communities, when everyone participates in and validates a ritual, it becomes psychologically real. The rituals provide structure, meaning, and a sense of control over forces that otherwise feel chaotic and threatening. From a psychological perspective, this is not unusual. Humans across all cultures create rituals to manage fear and uncertainty. What makes these Mexican practices unique is their continuity, the fact that they have been performed, largely unchanged, for generations. But here is what matters most. These rituals are not relics. They are not museum pieces. They are living practices, performed by people who genuinely believe in their necessity. And as long as that belief exists, the rituals will continue, whether or not the rest of us understand them. Tonight, In dozens of towns across Mexico, someone will walk to the edge of their community and leave an offering. Someone will light a candle and whisper a prayer to ancestors. Someone will perform a ritual their great-grandmother taught them in a language that is slowly disappearing. They will do this not because they are ignorant, not because they are trapped in the past. They will do this because they believe it protects their families, their homes, their land. And in a world that often feels dangerous and unpredictable, that belief, whether rooted in tradition, fear, or lived experience, is something they hold on to. You don't have to believe in the rituals to respect the people who perform them. You don't have to see what they see to acknowledge that, for them, it is real. And perhaps that is enough. Thank you for watching this investigation. If you found this documentary valuable, please consider liking the video and subscribing to Archivo Oscuro. We rely on your support to continue documenting these stories with the respect and seriousness they deserve. If you know of similar rituals, traditions, or practices, whether in Mexico or elsewhere, I invite you to share them in the comments. Not to sensationalize, but to preserve. This is an archive, after all. Until next time, I'm Fernanda. Take care.